XNW wants to know how I feel about losing to Rochambeau. I am pissed. But now I get to go one-on-one with XVPW's Dark Horse, Hipnosys, in a #1 contenders match. Hipnosys, understand you took an L's back to back. And now that you think you're going to have some Cinderella story, you're going to have some happy ending by thinking you can defeat Hollywood Watkins. Well, unfortunately enough for you, I got some bad news. That will not happen. I will win this #1 contender match, and you will get the pleasure of losing to Hollywood Watkins. And I get to beat my frustration out on you, because I deserve to be the XNW World Heavyweight Champion. And when I win our match, I go one-on-one with Mikey Truth. Mikey Truth, I've seen you around the world. And I say, I've seen your match. Wasn't impressive in the slightest. But here's some truth for you, Mikey. When me and you meet one-on-one, you're going to get laid out on sight. And I will be your first ever African-American XNW champion. See you soon.
What's up? Alright. That match didn't go as planned for the XNW championship. I was hoping to have the championship right now on my shoulder, maybe around my waist, maybe somewhere within the vicinity. That's a word, right? Anyways, it's all good. I'm thankful for second chances. I got myself a #1 contenders match against Hollywood Watkins. Watkins, I saw your match, buddy. Had your foot up on the ropes. Trust me, it ain't gonna happen to me. And you see, I've been taking a few L's. That's all good. But I'm gonna take them L's. I'm going to put them all together, bend them up, twist them around, and I'm going to turn it into a W. You see, I got nothing to lose in this match. But you losing to a guy that just got off a losing streak, that's going to be embarrassing. I'm going to take that win. And I'm going to go on to win the XNW championship. Then I'll think about giving you a rematch. Maybe. I'll think about it. Depends on, what happens in the ring when we meet up. But we'll see what happens. All I'm saying, though, man, right now, Watkins, it ain't your time right now. Everybody better be woke. Everybody better wake up. Everybody better have their eyes open. Don't sleep on Hipnosys. I'm going to surprise everybody. Me getting this win, you taking this loss, I'm about to surprise everybody. I'll say it again, don't sleep on Hipnosys. Get this win. Damn it!
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood Watkins and Hipnosys throwing hands backstage, and looks like they just can't wait to get their hands on each other. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that they still have a match coming up later on tonight, and it's a #1 contendership qualifier. And oh my God, they're here in the locker room right now, and Hollywood Watkins just grabbed a chair. Oh my God! Now Hollywood Watkins beating Hipnosys down. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. But let's get back into the action, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is the second #1 contendership qualifiers match And whoever wins this will face Mikey Truth in the next episode of XNW, and it'll be a #1 contenders match for the XNW Championship. So whoever wins that will face either Rochambeau or maybe Noah Youngblood, whoever is XNW champion. But we're in a dilemma right now because Hollywood Watkins attacked Hipnosys moments before this match. I mean, we don't even know if Hipnosys is ready to compete tonight, or if he even is going to compete. So we're just gonna have to wait and find out. I mean, if I'm Hollywood Watkins right now, I should be pretty confident, especially walking down that ring. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, anything can happen here in Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling, and you want to do whatever it takes to solidify yourself as being top guy, the top threat. And if I'm Mikey Truth right now, I should be taking notes, especially on Hollywood Watkins, because he made a hell of a first impression in that Extreme Gauntlet. Yeah, he didn't get the W and didn't get that gold, but right now it looks like Hollywood Watkins is hella focused on concentrating on being XNW champion. And what a show, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't yet, like, comment, subscribe, share this link. If you love Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling, if you like what you see in XNW, like, comment, share, tell your friends about it. And man, ladies and gentlemen, I do not know who is Hollywood Watkins gonna face. Or wait, ladies and gentlemen, this is just in. I just got news just now that Hipnosys is not competing tonight, and I don't know what's gonna happen. And oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, the XVPW President is making his way down here. And it looks like we're gonna find out if Hollywood Watkins advances. I mean, I hope he doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what are your thoughts? Should Hollywood Watkins advance even though he's not facing Hipnosys? I mean, what do you guys think? Put in the comments down below. I mean, voice your opinion. I mean, man, like, what's gonna happen now?
Hollywood Watkins, you left a part of this show empty tonight. I worked hard to build a solid card tonight, and you fucked that up since you beat Hipnosys before your match. You probably thought you got a free pass and thought you can move on to face the iconic deity Mikey Truth. Well, Hollywood, this isn't NEW. This isn't Metal Impact Wrestling. Hell, this isn't even 3W. This is XVPW, the extreme alternative. You gotta pay your dues in my fucking show. See, what you did was pretty extreme, I give you that. But you forgot who runs this show. So I made a phone call to a good friend of mine, and he just so happens to watch the show. I told him what happened earlier, and he happens to be around the area. So ladies and gentlemen, stand up right now. To the people watching at home and on their phones, get ready to press that like button. And get ready to subscribe if you haven't, because it's about to get extreme. It's gonna be Hollywood Watkins versus this man.
You see me right now? You see me, Hollywood Watkins? You're looking at sweaty, pumped up, and angry Brian Pillman Jr. You know, I like your name, Hollywood Watkins. But unfortunately, you're not a star. You're not a star like me, Brian Pillman Jr., the Hollywood Kid. And that's why you're not going to take it against me. You're not going to beat me. Why? Because you're a phony and you're a fraud. You've taken a name, you've claimed to be from Hollywood, yet you have never even seen the lights of the Hollywood skyline, brother. But me, I was born on September 9th, 1993. During the reign of Brian Pillman and Stone Cold Steve Austin as the Hollywood Blondes. So that makes me the Hollywood Kid. So not only am I going to kick your ass, but I'm also going to bury you, I'm going to bury your name, and ruin your entire career.
Holy shit, ladies and gentlemen. Anything can happen here in Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling. Oh my God. From Major League Wrestling to All Elite Wrestling, and now Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling, second generation wrestler Brian Pillman Jr. has signed with the Extreme Alternative. And ladies and gentlemen, he has done it all, and he's still just getting started and fresh in the business. He was MLW World Tag Team Champion with Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Teddy Hart, which is the Hart Foundation. In 2019, he was Pro Wrestling Illustrated Rookie of the Year. I mean, I can go on and on, ladies and gentlemen, but all I can say is the landscape of XNW is about to change.
Hola, señores y señores. This is the NWA Women's Champion, Thunder Rosa, and you are here watching Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because it's about to get extreme.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we got Hollywood Watkins, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Brian Pillman Jr. in the #1 contendership qualifier to face Mikey Truth in the #1 contenders match for the XNW Championship in the next episode of XNW. And here we are. They started with a lockup, but Brian Pillman with a snapmare followed by a headlock. Now Hollywood Watkins with an arm lock. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. Now Brian Pillman Jr. reverses it into a headlock. Now Watkins pushing Brian Pillman Jr. to the rope. Okay, now Brian Pillman, what a maneuver, pushing Hollywood Watkins. Watkins with a clothesline, ducks, and Brian Pillman with a beautiful clothesline. And there it is, folks, a tribute to the Hollywood Blondes, to his dad, Brian Pillman, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And oh my goodness, hard-hitting chops from Brian Pillman Jr. And what a dirty move from Hollywood Watkins, grabbing the hair of Brian Pillman Jr. I mean, Watkins does not care who Brian Pillman Jr. is. He just wants to get this W and move on and face Mikey Truth and become XNW champion. And Watkins is still going. I mean, he's not even wrestling more. He's just brawling it out. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, what if? What if Hollywood Watkins beats the second generation superstar Brian Pillman Jr. And wow, what a Northern Light suplex. 1 and not even a 2. Brian Pillman Jr. kicks out. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what if Hollywood Watkins beats Brian Pillman Jr.? That would look good on his resume. And Brian Pillman Jr. with a spinning heel kick. I mean, this man was trained by Lance Storm, so I'm not surprised. Now Brian Pillman Jr. Irish whipping Hollywood Watkins, ducks and leapfrogs, and what a beautiful drop kick. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in right now, we have Brian Pillman Jr. and Hollywood Watkins in a #1 contendership match, and Brian Pillman with the Northern Lights off his own. 1, 2, and Hollywood Watkins kicks out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm still surprised. I never thought that I would be calling a Brian Pillman Jr. match. And here he is in front of my eyes in the Extreme Alternative. Now Watkins with a beautiful drop kick and another drop kick. Now Watkins on the rope and a cross body from Hollywood Watkins onto the second generation wrestler Brian Pillman Jr. Now Watkins with a Michinoku driver. This could be it. 1, 2, and Brian Pillman kicks out. Watkins not wasting any time and going for the offensive. Now Brian Pillman with strong strikes to the lower extremities of Watkins, but kick to the gut, and Watkins with an implant DDT going for the pin. 1, 2, and Brian Pillman kicks out again. And Watkins is getting very frustrated. I mean, I would be too if I'm facing against Brian Pillman Jr., second generation wrestler. Now Watkins taking Brian Pillman to the corner, and a strong right hook from Watkins, but now Brian Pillman going for the offensive, reversing that, and strong strikes. Now Brian Pillman on the second rope, and a clothesline. I've seen that before. That was from his dad, Brian Pillman himself. Now Watkins just stomping on Brian Pillman Jr. Brian Pillman with a jawbreaker. Kick to the gut. And what's this? Brian Pillman with a pile driver. Dropping Hollywood Watkins on top of his head. Now Brian Pillman with a lateral press. 1, 2, and Watkins kicks out. But can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, what if Brian Pillman is XNW champion? That would be a good person to represent the XVPW brand. Now, Brian Pillman with a strike and an elbow strike onto Hollywood Watkins and another strike. Now Brian Pillman with a back suplex, going for that lateral press again. 1, 2, and Hollywood Watkins kicks out, and Brian Pillman cannot believe it, ladies and gentlemen. What will it take to put Hollywood Watkins down, ladies and gentlemen? And by the way, what is Mikey Truth thinking? I'm pretty sure he's paying attention to this match. Now Brian Pillman on the top rope, and what a splash. This could be it. 1, 2, 3. No! Hollywood Watkins kicks out yet again, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. Now, Brian Pillman going for a maneuver, but Hollywood Watkins is reversing. And what a kick to the gut, taking the air out from Brian Pillman Jr. And Hollywood Watkins going for the box office hit. And it connects, knocking out Brian Pillman Jr. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. Hollywood Watkins just beat Brian Pillman Jr. Oh my God, let's take a look at that replay, ladies and gentlemen. And there it is, the box office hit onto Brian Pillman Jr. And that means that Hollywood Watkins will face Mikey Truth in the next episode of XNW. And it will be a #1 contenders match to face the XNW champion. And there's Mikey Truth, ladies and gentlemen. Tension is rising between these two, and I can't wait to see what happens next in the next episode of XNW.
This is Isaiah Cassidy. I'm Mark Quinn, and we're a private party.
Yeah, and you're watching Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling.
Extreme.